Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, let's have some fun tonight. Week, or I guess day one of the tampering period has more or less come to a close. For those who don't know, right, the legal tampering window started today, 9 a.m. West Coast time. The new league year commences Wednesday evening. So this is all legal tampering period. But essentially, you can get whatever done at this moment. And it's always good to remember. We're going to go chronologically through every move and non-move for the Raiders. So everyone the Raiders signed, or Raiders unrestricted free agents that went elsewhere, unrestricted free agents that we signed, restricted free agents we signed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We'll go through all of them. And also we'll get into like Sam Darnold and some bigger ones that we kind of like flirted with or thought about potentially doing. Um, we'll save like guys available for maybe a later show. That's just too much to get into. It's day one. It's day one, guys, of tampering. And it's already bonkers. Like it's fireworks out there. It's a fucking bloodbath. Bodies in the streets. It's wild. And it's important to remember as you get like, and I am just as tempted as anybody to just get super jacked about it, just get super excited, just get all like, oh, let's get this guy, let's get that guy. Oh my God, the Broncos picked up this really good safety. We got to catch up. Oh no, we lost this guy. We got to buy someone right away. Just, the brake pedals on the left, chill out a little bit. I want to get jacked and I want to get excited because it's like a dopamine rush during free agency, especially like the gold rush period at the beginning. But as the season eventually gets underway in August and the draft gets here in April and training camp begins in the summer, we're going to be glad that we made the smart moves and didn't just go absolutely bonkers. And this is the first time in a while where I can remember the Raiders regime making big moves, making sound moves, making cautionary moves, knowing where value exists, knowing where it doesn't exist. We haven't overpaid for anybody. We've had some guys walk out the door that we're going to miss, but I think just the price to keep them wasn't exactly there. How we've structured the contracts all kind of more or less makes sense. It's just a nice sound start to free agency / first day of the tampering window. So it's a good, not to piss in anyone's Cheerios or, slow anything down a little bit, but it's a nice reminder that, like, hey, it's day one, right? Just nice and easy, taking our time. We're trying to get things right. Now, that doesn't mean you're not minding your P's and Q's, right? That doesn't mean that you're, Spy Tech and Carroll and Brady and Davis or whoever's making the final decisions over there. Doesn't mean that, being laissez-faire is okay. But it does mean it's like, okay, we'll take our time and we'll make the right moves and we'll take a deep breath before we push the buy button on any players, right? Or the sell button on any players. And that's, I kind of believe, where we're at, right? Everything more or less has made sense. Super chats are open. Master Sagist, first one in there. Thank you so much for the super chat. Is that an evil gnome? I can't tell. Adam's getting passed around. LOL. Yes. Might as well start with DA, old Davante Adams. He gone. Remember, he went from obviously originally the Packers and then came to the Raiders to play with Derek Carr, then went to the Jets, and now he's at the LA Rams. And Soto and I were texting about Davante Adams yesterday. And he was like, ha ha, this idiot, he's gone. He's not going to do crap. He's going to be number 2 to Puka. He's going to cry. The whole thing's going to implode, blah, 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 blah. Look, I would love to just get really, just make fun of Davante Adams and say, all right, this bum's an idiot. He's going to just completely fall apart out there. But as much as I want him to fail, I'm not going to enter imagination land. He's in a good spot, really. Sean McVay is an offensive genius. And Davante Adams is still a really good wide receiver. I mean, they've been looking over, like the Rams have been looking for like a really good true X that lines up, doesn't really go into motion, and then just beats his guy, and that's Davante Adams. They got Puka doing everything in motion, right? They got that guy. Davante Adams is the dude that's just going to line up and beat the corner. He's shifty, right? He's got some wiggle. He's got his moves. Probably a hell of a salsa dancer, right? As long as the Taco Bell doesn't weigh him down, he should be all right. Soto was saying, and it's certainly possible, and that's certainly what I'm rooting for, that he's going to get so butthurt that Puka Nacua is going to be the number one receiver, get more targets, get more catches, that he's going to pout, cry, and suck ass. Which maybe. That's certainly what I'm rooting for. I'm certainly rooting for any of the other 31 NFL teams to have internal struggles, to have a diva wide receiver, to have problems in the locker room, have just that shitty culture where it's me, and not us, where the name on the back is more important than the name on the front. Like, that's what I'm rooting for. But here's the reality. Davante Adams divas out when the team loses. Yeah, he wants to get his stats too. But when the team sucks ass is when he divas out. Sean McVay is a damn good offensive coach. Matthew Stafford's a really damn good quarterback. Puka Nacua there. Like, I'm glad we're not playing the Rams next season. Just put it that way. Let's simply put it that way. I'm glad we're not playing the Rams next season. They're built to be pretty damn good, especially offensively. I will say this, though. For a guy who considers himself pretty smart, not me, Davante Adams, he sure has made a consecutive run of dumb career decisions. He thought that the Packers were going to completely fall apart without Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that didn't happen, so we bounced and went to the Raiders. And I think him and Derek Carr would have had a nice, long career together, and they would have had a great relationship together, and they both would have made each other really, really good. If not for Josh freaking McDaniels coming in here and just laying a giant dookie in the middle of this franchise. If it weren't for Josh McDaniels' stink, I think Derek Carr would still be here, Davante Adams would still be here, and they'd both be playing pretty good football. So DA made that stupid decision to go to the Raiders. It cost him. And then we, by some miracle, and that was one of Telesco's best moves, getting a third-round draft pick for Davante Adams in that contract, sent him off to the Jets, which we turned that third-round pick into Geno Smith. Like, literally that pick. It's not even the earlier third-round pick. It's the later third-round pick, 91 or whatever it is, that we got from the Jets. That's now our quarterback. Not a bad trade, right? A disgruntled, over 30, overpaid wide receiver for a quarterback. Like, even like by the worst estimates, like an average to above average quarterback, not too shabby. And then Davante Adams goes to the Jets and doesn't do shit there. Doesn't do anything there. Remember the big reveal when Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show and DA like pops in like, "Hey guys, we're taking over." No, you're not. You're not going to do anything. And then now Davante Adams is getting a pretty good deal to go to the Rams. So, look, make fun of Davante Adams. Lord knows I will. He's made some dumb career decisions. When he was making the decisions, right? When he's like, I'm going to leave this place and go to a quarterback I want because I know where I should go for my best career. He shit the bed. When he was sent places, like when he was drafted by the Packers and when his agent said, hey, the Rams want you for good money, catch passes from Matthew Stafford by plays designed by Sean McVay, you'll do better there. It's more optimistic. Like, time will tell, right? He may fall flat on his face in LA, and I'll be more than happy to tell Soto that he was completely right. But the reality is, I'm glad we won't play the Rams next season. Let's put it that way. All right. Let's go in chronological order from earliest to something happened to latest when something happened. So we'll start off with just kind of a small whimper. Safety Lonnie Johnson Jr. just got signed to the Raiders. Mostly a special teams guy from the Panthers. He started earlier in his career. He only played 13 defensive snaps in 15 games last season, but played 339 special team snaps. Good core special teams guy and some depth at safety. And we'll get to it, right? We lost our two starting safeties. Picked up another really good one. We'll get to that in a minute. But depth at free safety, which we need. Okay, the fun one. A couple fun ones. Malcolm Kuntz, defensive end. Raiders signed him to a 1-year, $12 million contract. Obviously, we know he missed all last season because of an ACL surgery. He only played, like, really started in any real playing time 2 seasons ago, where he played basically the second half of the season and went hog wild with 8 sacks. And we're like, oh, hell, dog. We got Maxx Crosby on one side, Malcolm Kuntz on the other, sign Christian Wilkins in the middle. Can Tyree Wilson maybe get his act together? Like, all right, we got a pretty good defensive line. And then he rips his knee in half and misses the entire season because he got injured in the preseason. It's technically a prove it deal. It's nice being a defensive end when a $12 million contract is a prove it deal. Like, that's the cost, or that's like the beauty of being a defensive end in the NFL. Here's $12 million. That's us not paying you. That's us giving you crumbs to show us you can play. $12 million. Like, that's a well-paid starting free safety. That's a well-paid starting guard. You can get a really good, like a really, really high-level defensive tackle for $12 million. But when you're a defensive end, $12 million is, well, we don't know if you're worth it. We'll just keep you around, and you'll get your allowance from grandma, your $12 on your birthday written into a check. And then that'll be enough just to kind of keep you satiated before we see if you're the real deal or not. It's nice to be a defensive end in the NFL. Very well paid. I had this argument with Adam Hill. I had this argument with multiple Raiders people. They're like, man, Kuntz is gone. It's going to be so hard to keep. And I was like, I'll toot my horn on this one. I don't think so, man. I don't think the league will be breaking down the door for Malcolm Kuntz the way a lot of other beat writers and analysts thought they would. I've been wrong about some guys, and we'll get to them. Malcolm Kuntz, I was right about. He played basically half a season and then got so hurt in a preseason non-contact injury and was gone for the entire season. I think a lot of these analysts, a lot of these media guys, and especially Malcolm Kuntz's team, drastically overestimated how much tape was on Kuntz, how much the other 31 teams kind of weighed like his one half of good play. I think he vastly got over his skis on what he thought people were going to give him. It's just like there's just not that many eyeballs on a player that basically started half a season, even though he played pretty well, right? So this is great for the Raiders. I really like. It's a good sign that the Raiders kept him because no one knows his medicals or how good that knee's doing better than the Raiders, right? Like, he got injured as a Raider, got his surgery as a Raider, did his rehab as a Raider. He was in the Raiders medical facility with Raiders doctors, Raiders personal trainers, Raiders massage therapists, Raiders fucking everybody, right? So like, no one knows how that knee is doing better than the Raiders. And if you would have signed and went elsewhere, I would have been like, we don't know if it's because they just got like completely outbid or if the Raiders are like, that knee's, we're not too sure about it. We're not going to commit 8 figures, 7 zeros and 2 commas to a guy that's might have a bum wheel for a while. That's something that I was looking out for. And I said, like, look, if the Raiders let him walk, I'd be like, okay, it's been a long time since I've said, I trust the Raiders front office. I trust those in charge at the Raiders, whoever the GM is, whoever the head coach is, who's ever making the decisions over there. I trust them because they know what they're doing. I haven't said that about the Raiders in a long time. In this case, I did because I believe in Spy Tech. I believe in Carroll. I believe in Tom Brady. And because of the medicals of Malcolm Kuntz. So that we kept him, that's a great sign for that knee. That the knee's probably in a really good position if the Raiders are like, all right, here's a $12 million prove-it deal. The best and most important reason why this is great is our defensive line is going to be top 10 in football. It could be top 5. Maxx Crosby, Christian Wilkins, and then you got Malcolm Kuntz on the other side. John Jenkins, Adam Butler kind of there in the center. And then we've got the kind of like flyers at defensive ends that hopefully will keep or some are being kept, right? Charles Snowden, Devon Chason, Lualu. Like, there's a lot of really good rotational pieces. really good. We know Maxx Crosby doesn't get off the field. And you got on the other side, Kuntz, all these guys, and you just start rotating, keeping them fresh, having all the action. This D line is going to be tits. Fucking tits.
I
Time to give away the
just in time
membership.
for Spivey.
What's up, Spivey? Thanks for the memberships. I still don't know how this works when he gives away. I hope you guys do. For the first 5 people who know how gifting memberships works, here's your chance. Spivvy's just Santa Claus every time. We barely got started, Soto, because I'm going in chronological order. I literally have done Lonnie Johnson and Malcolm Kuntz. That's as far as I've gotten because the Kuntz stuff is so big. We did just sign a linebacker.
That kid from the Steelers, right?
Yeah, Landon Roberts, 1 year, $3 million deal. He'll be a rotational guy, most likely.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Spillane, actually. He was looked at as more of a run stopper type of guy. But we'll see. You know, the guys that we're getting, Lonnie Johnson is like a measurables guy. He's tall, he's long. He was tested really well. Just hasn't been in the right position. I guess he bounced around a little bit. More of a special teams guy, but I mean, Pete Carroll has a way of getting a lot out of these late round picks in the second and third level of the defense. So
Lonnie Johnson, like he was a starter and doing well until injuries derailed the starterness. So we'll see if that's part of it or not. So those are the guys that are good to experiment with, right? Like, all right, was it just he never got his footing after the injury? Is the injury really decreased him that much? Worst case scenario, you have a special teams player for cheap. All right, moving on to Nate Hobbs. Went to Green Bay. He's following Josh Jacobs, Keyshawn Nixon, Rich Bisaccia. He got a deal, man. 4 years, $48 million, only $16 million guaranteed. Kind of a weird contract where like barely a third of your contract is guaranteed money. He was the one that I was very curious what was going to happen with because I think he's very good. I think he's a fantastic slot corner, which is not the same value as an outside corner, but he's just so injury prone. I didn't know what teams were going to do. That's the closest explanation I can get to his contract with only $60 million guaranteed. To like, bro, if you can stay healthy, you'll get a good chunk of this $48 million, but we just don't trust your ligaments to stay in place.
It just with Hobbs, look, talent is great, right? Coaching is great, smart, X's and O's and all that stuff, and ability, that's all great. But ultimately, what wins is production. Now, a lot of that stuff goes into production, right? How good a coach are you? How good schematically are you? How well do you communicate? How physically gifted are you? But ultimately, it's about production. And Nate Hobbs hasn't had that. He showed flashes his rookie season, and ever since then, it's been here and there. And we need more consistency. And I like the fact that we're letting these guys go that are being overpaid. We'll get to a couple of guys. And a guy like Hobbs, I mean, I'm surprised he got as much as he did for how much he's played the last couple of years and how he's played when he's been there. He hasn't been very good. Look, the Raiders had I think second worst coverage grade in their secondary last year. So it wasn't like we need to keep all these guys. Okay. There's better players out there.
Yeah, I mean the $60 million guaranteed for 4 years, like I would have done that. It's just the weird, like I haven't seen the details of it, right? Like, is it all just like late funny money or like I don't know that, but it was 48 mil, 16 guaranteed on 4 years. It does seem like manageable-ish for an injury-prone guy. But again, to your point, like, yeah, if this is like a true, like it's pretty close to 48 million, then c'est la vie.
Yeah, if you're going to sign an injury-prone guy, it's like a Drake Greenlaw. You know, a Hufanga, like one of those like elite starter guys. That's the kind of guy you want to give money to in free agency if they're injured, if they've been injured. That's the kind of guy. You don't want to give Nate Hobbs a bunch of money if he's been injured because he hasn't shown to be a top player at his position.
A nice little piece right here, a damn good piece, and this took a lot of the sting away from losing Moehrig. Jeremy Chinn. 2-year deal, $16 million. That's roughly a third of what tre'von Moehrig got, which we'll get to in a little bit when he goes to the Carolina Panthers. he was a Panthers player for a while, kind of almost swapped. And then he went to Washington for a little
For a
bit.
year.
Fantastic season last season, 117 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 interception. He's more like he can play anywhere, but he's a little bit more of like a free safety-ish guy. A strong safety-ish kind of guy. Isaiah Palomalo will kind of be free-ish safety, Chinn kind of strong-ish safety, but obviously they both can play everywhere. This really took the sting off Soto of losing Moehrig.
Jeremy Chinn's a good player, man. He's a good player. He's bigger, taller, and faster than Moehrig. He doesn't have quite the stats as far as like defending passes because he plays in the box a lot. He's basically a nickel. He's a sub package linebacker, like a dime linebacker.
He's an old school strong safety.
He's Cam Chancellor. Like if you remember the Legion of Boom, he plays the Cam Chancellor role. That's what he plays. A huge hitter. He had 117 tackles last year. He forced what? He forced 2 fumbles. Like he's a big hitter. We have 2 really big interchangeable pieces because they can both play deep and they can both play up. And we know Patrick Graham's defense. Your safeties need to be able to do a lot. And both Polomao and Chinn can both do that. They can both come up and play up, or they can play deep, or they can cover the slot. They can do that, and we're not losing anything.
He's what John Gruden wanted Jonathan Abram to be.
Yeah,
like
but
a thumper that can cover, right?
Bigger
That's
and
what
faster
Jonathan
and a better
Abram
tackler.
was hoping for him to be, right? A strong safety thumper that can cover, right?
He's Cam Chancellor. That's who he is. That's the role he wants to. I think they're envisioning for him because, I mean, physically he's almost identical.
And I just and you know, safeties is Pete Carroll's bread and butter, right? So this was a nice pickup. This was a really fun pickup. Why? And literally like moments after we got the news, tre'von Moehrig gone. Say la vie, this sucks, but Moehrig's getting 3 years, $51 million.
Gang of money, dude.
From the Carolina Panthers. I mean, he's going to have for a safety, right? Like,
good for him, dude. Good for him, but god damn, that's a lot of money, dude.
I think tre'von Moehrig, like I thought he'd be tough to keep. Moehrig didn't blow anyone away with his stats because his coverage was so good. He wasn't really thrown to that often. He didn't get like a fuck ton of tackles because he played mostly off ball and a little deeper sometimes. He was like, and he's been diverse, right? He was really good under Gus Bradley's kind of just like center field cover 3 style. Like he was good there. He's been good under Graham's defense. So he's proven to like be pretty effective in 2 very different schemes. So he's damn good. We wanted to keep him. I wasn't sure how the rest of the league would view him because his stats aren't eye popping because he wasn't thrown to a much. Clearly, well, at least one team thinks he's an all-pro. For a safety to get $51 million, they're thinking like legit regular Pro Bowler for that kind of money.
Yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily who he is as a player. I think he's a nice player. I think he's really good. I don't know that he's necessarily that level of safety, but I mean, he's their problem to make flourish now.
I think that's
a lot of money. I wouldn't have paid him
a lot of money. And I think also they're banking on, what do I always say, right? Like, I just think myself as like a stock trader, right? What's your stock going? Moehrig stock has been going up, right? Right this second, I wouldn't have wanted to give him that money. And look, we're Raiders fans here, but I don't want to live in imagination land, right? Like I'm willing to say like, man, maybe we lost something here. I wouldn't have made this deal right this second. I also wouldn't be shocked if Moehrig continues to improve. And like 2 seasons from now, we're like, ugh, damn it. Bummer. He kept getting better. He kept improving, and we let him get better somewhere else. Right this second, though, 3 years, $51 million, Soto. Especially getting Chinn, right? Especially with getting Chinn, it's like, okay, I'm glad we made these moves, but in the back of my head, I'll be like, all right, I wonder if Panthers were banking on his potential more than we were.
Yeah, it's nice to see that we're not being desperate. Yep. And now we have to, I mean, we filled out that spot and we filled out the Epps spot because of that was Polomao was going to take over that spot. So, I mean, we're going to come up to, I think, Spillane next, right?
Spillane next. Let's get to Spivey, though, who's giving us money. Thank you for the super chat. Tyree inside bull rush. Make shit happen. That's what he does. That's him. Inside bull rush. That's his thing. Which honestly, like, with like as many rotational guys at defensive end on the other side of Maxx Crosby, that might not be the end of the world, right? Like, depending on which tackle that you have over there, maybe there's like a smaller tackle that can't handle a bull rush. You have Tyree Wilson play that week a little bit more, right? If you got kind of a bigger guy where you want a speed dude, maybe Chason plays that role a little bit more, right? Obviously, Malcolm Kuntz will be the starter, but you know, it could make sense when we have like very, very diverse different types of defensive ends opposite Maxx Crosby. You just kind of do like a week to week, styles make fights type of thing. Matchups make maybe who gets more reps that week. I'm also very curious what Pete Carroll makes of Tyree Wilson. He's like, I think I can do something with this guy or not.
Yeah, he's Tyree Wilson, man. He's getting close, man. He's getting close to that El Busto freaking. He's getting there. He's getting close. If he doesn't do something like, if he doesn't make that leap this season,
he's just killing time.
Dude,
he's just dead man walking if he doesn't.
Cleve Farrell had a better Raiders career so far than this guy.
I would be shocked if the Raiders aren't shopping Tyree Wilson. There's got to be a defensive.
I would be shocked if somebody traded for him.
Well, I am. Well, I mean, we can get something out of him. We just have so many defensive ends. Just so many defensive ends.
There's no such thing.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's a defensive end coach out there that's like, I can do something with him. I can turn this guy into.
Well,
man,
who are the defensive ends? Like what that we have so much like.
Well, Kuntz and Crosby have our starters, and then we've got all our rotational guys, right? Snowden, Chason, Laulu.
Chason has not signed, is he?
Did he?
He's a free agent.
He's still free?
He's a free agent.
Okay. So we'll see what happens with the other guys. Right? I think we'll keep Chason. We'll see. All right.
You can never have too many defensive linemen if they're good. If you're hanging on to a Tyree Wilson, yeah, you can have too many of those guys. But you can't have too many good ones.
You also can't have too many mid-round picks in a draft either. You can get something for him. Robert Spillane. This one hurts the most. This is the one that I said, yes. God damn it.
It hurts you the most, maybe.
I thought for sure we'd keep him. I was like, all right.
I was 50-50.
Patrick Graham loves him. He was the eyes and ears of Patrick Graham on the defense. He had the green dot. He called the plays. He never really got a shot before he came to the Raiders. We gave him a shot and he flourished. I thought Spillane needed the Raiders and the Raiders needed Spillane. It was just like a very meshed really well. But now he's going to the Patriots. Mike Vrabel got his young Mike Vrabel.
He got a ridiculous. You talking about getting overpaid?
Mm-hmm.
That's overpaid.
What was his deal?
Good for him, man. I'm not hating on the guy, but
3 years, 37 million.
That's a grip, dude. For Robert Spillane, that's a lot of money, dude. You know, we're not talking about a Pro Bowler here, right? Was he a Pro Bowler? I don't think he was. We're not talking about a perennial Pro Bowler, sniffing the All Pro. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. And he's 29, going to be 30 this season. Yeah, that's way too much. I'm glad we let him walk for that much. I'm not glad we let him walk, period. But for that much money, yeah, we had no business paying him that much. We'll get a comp pick next season.
Yeah.
Oh, what a comp pick for Moehrig. We'll probably get a third for Moehrig. Maybe probably a fourth for freaking Spillane. We don't need to be spending all that money on these guys.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, obviously, you know how comp picks work, right? Depends who we pick up as well to fill in. But hopefully they turn into comp picks depending on how we fill it. But it just, it's an overpay, but it's also like, man, I just felt like it was a match made in heaven, the two. I also wonder how much Antonio Pierce was critical to his development. And if Robert Spillane's like, man, if AP's not here, I can leave as well. It felt like, Patrick Graham loves Spillane, but it does make me wonder too. Was it purely just money, right? Is it just like, hey, Pat's made me an offer I couldn't refuse, I got to go? or if Spillane was like, yeah, I was AP's guy, and now that he's gone, I'll let the money talk.
Well, one thing is it's how these executives put their plan together is they assign a dollar amount to a room.
Mhm.
And if they know kind of who they want to target and how much they want to spend on a group, on a position group, maybe they feel like they can do better with other guys. I mean, it's going to be pretty shaky because right now I think the only linebackers we have under contract are not Liam Eichenberg. What's his name? One of the Eichenbergs.
Tommy Eichenberg.
Yeah, Tommy Eichenberg and Amari Burney, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, then what's it? Kanea Maunga.
Is he under contract still?
I think he is, right? Isn't he under wasn't he like a 3-year contract? Like a penny's 3-year?
I don't know. Checking.
We're thin at linebacker.
We need something. We need something.
Significant linebacker.
I was hoping for I was really bummed. I was bummed that we didn't get Greenlaw, but I was super bummed that he went to the freaking Broncos.
Yeah, man. Between that safety they got too, the Broncos defense is going to be.
They're going to be really good, man. That defense is going to be really good. We just got
this AFC West, man. Like everyone, look, everyone is just getting better. Like it's all Hall of Fame coaches. Raiders just got a quarterback. The Broncos defense keeps getting better, and they're still like just one more year away of getting out from that shitty Russell Wilson trade where like they still haven't gotten they're all their picks and cap space back yet. The Chargers are only 1 year in to their new coaches thing. And the one team that's like maybe didn't improve in the conference has been in the Super Bowl 3 times. It's like, fuck, man, this AFC West is a gauntlet. Fucking gauntlet. We're the only ones that didn't go to the playoffs. Gotta hammer this free agency, dude. Hammer this draft.
Well, there's still a lot of good players out there. That maybe not the flashy names. I mean, there's still some really good players. Like the top, I would say probably the top 2 guards are still out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't
need 2 of them.
Yeah, because I'm not. I mean, I like Kappa. I think he's a good player. I don't know that he's necessarily the type of guy that when you walk into a place and say we need to be able to run the football when we want to. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's necessarily that type of guy who's going to be okay. We got Kappa there. We're going to be able to bully people, and that's what Spytek said. He said that we want to impose our will on the other team, so they quit because they know that we're going to not quit. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Will Freeze is out there, and Mekhi Becton is out there. Mekhi Becton was a super bust at tackle. He was pretty damn good at guard. So these are both huge players, really good at the position. Again, top 1 and 2 probably at the position, and then we need it. And we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Some tits guards would be awesome. We got the cap space for it, and those are the only 2 holes right on the offensive line. Although it's I guess like on the easier end of it, Geno Smith knows how to play behind a terrible line, at least. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying give him a bad line. At least Geno Smith has plenty of experience behind playing a bad line. And because that was always, I would say, the biggest Achilles heel of Chip Kelly's offense was pass protection. Because he's like, all right, I need 5 targets out there. O-line, just make it work. And his run game is so creative that he's really good at making good angles for his lineman. Again, the better the lineman, obviously is always better. That's not an excuse not to make the line as good as possible. But schemes can kind of hide some problems. But it was pass protection that was the big issue. But now that we have Geno, again, we want premier pass protection. Imagine Geno with a decent O-line. It's not quite the Achilles heel that it was based on quarterback and run scheme. So let's chase some good guards, but I'm not going to tie a noose around my neck if we don't get great ones. So that was today. Robert Spillane gone. Tre'von Moehrig gone. Jeremy Chinn's side. Nate Hobbs gone. Malcolm Kuntz, 1 year prove it. Lonnie Johnson signed. That was March 10th. That was today. Yesterday, Adam Butler Nice to get him back. 3-year contract, $16 million, only $11 million guaranteed. Butler, 30 years old. Again, this was a guy that's been improving. So he's 30, but I feel like he's going in the right direction. And $11 million guaranteed in 3 years. And we can't really be affording losing guys that can play pretty good defensive tackle right now.
It's a good pickup. We still need more. I don't think Jenkins is going to be brought back. Tyree, I don't know where he's going to play on the line, but we still need more. We need more talent on both sides of the line. Maybe it's going to be through the draft. I don't know. There's a lot of good defensive linemen in the draft, and also interior offensive linemen. So we'll see, but it's not very encouraging day one that we didn't address the one thing that we need to address. That was something that both Spytek and Pete Carroll harped on, which was running the football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with you. I think we need to draft at least 2 running backs from this draft, but it's tough to rely on rookie running backs. Hang your hat on that. You have to have some type of veteran presence as well. And the best guys have already been snatched up. So
before today, there was the one big signing, which we'll get to in a second. Other than that, cut Andre James, Michael Gallup cut, Tamari Fox cut, Maxx Crosby extended, which we talked about extensively. Alex Kappa signed, which we brought up. Guard Gardner Minshew's cut. DJ Turner will be cut. Desmond Ridder cut. Isaiah Polamalu, forgot about him. Extended him. That was nice. Kyle Phillips was the very first kind of like Chip Kelly guy, right? Chip Kelly guy that got signed, rotational wide receiver, special teams, whatever. And Keenan Isaac waived. Any of those things mentioned you want to talk about?
Nothing really pops out.
Yeah, nothing really. Obviously, you love Isaiah Polamalu. We've already talked about that.
Polamalu, yeah, he's solid. Let's take a look here. Hang on a second. Linebacker, Amari Burney, Tommy Eichenberg, Kanai Mauga, Brandon Smith, who the hell is that? Jackson Mitchell, who the hell is that? Landon Roberts, who the hell is that? Yeah. Does it inspire a lot of hope?
Yeah.
Guards, we have 3 guards: Alex Kappa, Dylan Parham, and Jordan Meredith.
Biggest needs: running back, guard, linebacker, corner.
Got a lot of needs, man. We're not a great team.
Yeah. Fuck, dude.
We weren't very deep already. And we let a lot of our good players go. Actually, a lot of our better players go. And didn't really replace them all. So we're even less deep now than before. We didn't replace Nate Hobbs. We didn't replace Spillane.
Who'd have thought that this dog shit defense would have so many high-priced players on it? Hobbs, Moehrig, Spillane, all these guys getting these
just injured, man. They were just hurt. They were hurt. That's the hard part.
Dude, and this shouldn't be shocking, man. Like, if we've had back-to-back regimes that were just fucking trash. No, not back. Like, the last Telesco was good, but the last 2 before that were fucking awful. Josh McDaniels and John Gruden, they could not draft or sign free agents out of a paper bag. And those, and we remember, of course, Soto, like the giant swings and misses, the giant like overreaches, the giant overpays. Those make like the big headlines and stuff. But being consistent in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round is how you develop a guy where it's like, all right, Nate Hobbs is gone. We got this guy in the 4th round 2 seasons ago. He's been developing. Will he be a star? Maybe, maybe not, but at least we don't have a giant hole there anymore. Those are the things we miss the most. Yeah, we miss like missing on first rounders. That sucks. But the things that bite you down the line are not having consistent 3rd, 4th rounders that can fill in for your stars that get overpaid and bounce. That's what's going to take several. And that's why, like, again, I think people were hot and cold on Telesco. I love Telesco's draft, and I love how he's like, look, we are several seasons away from filling up this roster. Like, we're not going to turn a roster around from 4 or 5 seasons of bad drafting, bad free agency, and 1 off season. So he's like, all right, let's draft best player available and let's save a lot of cap space. And that should have been the plan for a couple seasons. And now, at least this season, the Raiders are benefiting from a real good draft class and the second most cap space.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens in the next couple of days, because you don't really see teams overpay for players after the first day. You actually see it the opposite way. Maybe some guys start to panic a little bit and they take a little bit of a better deal than you think they would have.
Unless one in the draft, we're good. Things like that. A lot of those things get said in those rooms.
Yeah, but for right now, tomorrow, I'm looking for us to continue to hit the defensive line and to start getting us some better pieces on the offensive line. Look, if we go into a season with Kappa, Parham, and Meredith as our guards, it doesn't matter if we get Genty. We're not gonna be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
We need better interior offense. We need to get better. Parham needs, even when Parham was playing his best, he's more of a finesse type of guy. He's not the kind of guy that you need on the offensive line to run the ball. That's not. You need a guy that's bulkier, bigger. He'd be a nice swing guy. He plays center and guard, but we need more.
There's a couple defensive tackle. Jonathan Allen, the Commanders. I'd love to have him. Javon Hargrave, the Niners. Love to have him. They're both over 30, but I think for 2-3 seasons, I'd be stoked on those two. To play next to Wilkins. You mentioned Freeze, right? At guard. Love to have
Freeze
him
and Becton are my 2 wish list guys.
He's only 27. That'd be a beautiful one.
Yeah, Becton's 25.
Um,
These guys are young as hell. They're ready to rock too. Freeze is a freaking beast. He's an animal, dude. He's nasty.
Yeah.
He's good. I like him a lot.
I imagine Becton too going against that Eagles defensive front every single day in practice. Like Super Bowl championship guy, right? That'd be great. 26.
Yeah, I feel bad for guys like Becton, man, because they're I think the process now of kicking guys inside is a lot more. It's not as frowned upon. Guys don't want to be like, oh, I'm like, they don't want to go the Leatherwood route. Like, I'm a tackle and that's it. Because I mean, these guys on the inside making decent money as well. And the Jets just thought they had an all-world guy in Becton. They just left him out there on islands by himself just to get abused by these defensive ends, these edge rushers, and he's much better as a guard.
Would you have paid Byron Murphy what the Vikings did? 3 years, 66, $22 million a year.
Yeah, he's good. Dude, he had more picks by himself than we did last year.
The whole team. He's
good, dude. He's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you want a top end player, you got to pay top end money. It's just there's no going around it. It's not you're not the only scout in the NFL, right? Like, they're getting scouted by every team, and he's a premium guy, man. He was the number 1 corner out there by a lot. There's still Asante Samuel. I like that. I like that very much. He was hurt. It was just a freak thing with his shoulder. It wasn't like he, had a knee injury or popped a hammy or whatever. It's a shoulder injury that, I think he's fine from that. I think he's still out there, and he would be a good addition for us for sure. He would automatically be our best corner.
I think you would automatically be our best corner at this point, Soto. Rasul Douglas, I would take.
He's a little older, isn't he?
31.
I'm a little iffy on older corners, man.
So okay, what's our starters that we need, right? What do we need starters wise? Starting running back, X wide receiver.
Okay. Running back, we need another receiver.
Starting running back, starting X wide receiver, 2 starting guards. Right?
Yeah.
Capo, we're like, all right, if he wins a competition.
Give him
Great.
some
He needs to be
competition.
in
If Kappa
competition.
wins the job, then you know that he's really good because but at least give him some competition.
Give him some competition.
He's better than Parham. He's better than Meredith. He's better. So if he beats those guys out, it's like we don't know how good he actually is. He's better than a couple of guys that really regressed last year. And I think, honestly, I think that regression was more so being compared to Jackson Powers Johnson, who was just playing the role of freaking Roadhouse and just throwing guys all over the place. And when you're getting pushed back and the guy next to you is pushing guys back, it looks even worse.
It's like you always see that group of chicks that always brings a fat chick with them, so they all look hotter by comparison. That was him.
The grenade.
Starter at defensive, Jenkins or Butler. I think we have a start. We definitely need more help. Jenkins is a starter, right? Butler's starter.
Jenkins, I don't think we're going to bring Jenkins back, dude. He's 35 already.
But he's been improving. That's the thing. He's been getting better every season.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to compare him to everyone else in the league, not just who we have on our team.
We'll say half a starter. We'll say half a starter defensive tackle.
I mean, right now, I think Butler will be the starter. I think Butler and Wilkins would be a really nice interior, unless we can get like Graham. If Graham's available at 6, we just need to freaking run up there and take him.
Dude, just fucking have the best D-line in football, man. If Mason Graham is there at 6, just
there's nothing wrong with
Crosby,
that, dude.
Graham, Wilkins, Kuntz, and then a bunch of awesome rotational defensive ends. Just be the best defensive line in football, and everything else fall into place defensively.
What was like similar across the board when you have all these teams that are like going deep into playoffs? Their defensive lines are stacked. They go 2, maybe sometimes if you're the Eagles and the Rams, like 3 lines deep, guys that are productive. And there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of guys that keep you guys fresh. That's when you make big plays later in games, because you keep your defensive line fresh. Chiefs had them. Chiefs had one. The Rams had one. The Eagles had one. I mean, if Von Miller was a little bit more healthy, I think the Bills would have had one too. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a stacked freaking line. There's nothing wrong with having a really like elite level position group. And if it's Mason Graham, get that whiteboard on there. Put him in there.
It's that last defensive tackle to round it out, right? Like you're not like stacking 2, right? Just like
that would be great. Great rotation.
Then we need 2 starting linebackers and probably 2 starting corners.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with Jock Jones starting next season? I'd like to.
I mean, I would be okay with that. I don't think that Pete Carroll is.
I mean, he's a starting caliber corner, but God, he's hot and cold. Like he's gonna get burnt. He's gonna get you multiple pick sixes. And he's gonna get you burnt multiple times.
Dude, the secondary is Pete Carroll's specialty. The second and third level of a defense. That's his specialty. And that's why it's great that he kept Rob Leonard for the line. But that's not going to fly with Pete Carroll, man. You see all these guys that we had at SC when Pete Carroll was there. I mean, he was just flipping them one year after the other. We get 3, 4, 5 guys, drafted out of the secondary and linebacker core, and the next year there was just 5, 6 more. Yeah. And Jack Jones really needs to
not get burnt.
He needs to take a look in the mirror of how he wants to play football, and he doesn't have that safety blanket anymore with AP. It's not AP's boy.
Big Little Bosco, thank you for the super chat. AP pushed the defense too hard during camp and made them dominate a weak offense, trying to build chemistry. Defense just broke down.
Possible. I can see that.
All reports were that practices weren't like too hard and too it was like disjointed with dead time with most of the reports. I think it was more just the defense just got fucking hurt. That was the thing. Like that's why we have all these like super expensive free agents leaving the defense when the defense was terrible. It's because they're the only guys that were not hurt other than Hobbs.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to get to, Zebra 2 dudes, don't forget we still have draft. Yes, absolutely. But the draft, the draft should be generally best player available. The draft, the free agency is where you plug in holes. Draft is where you find your superstars, right? Like you don't want to have to pay $70 million for 3 years for a safety to buy a superstar, right? You want to hopefully avoid that by drafting them. You pick up the plug and play. We need a starter at guard. This guy can get the job done. We can rely on him. And when you draft, you're trying to find Brock Bowers, Maxx Crosby, the superstars, right? Like, and cheap talent to last you 4 to 5 years. All like GMs and coaches say they go best player available. Almost none of them do. Telesco did. He's like the rare one that does. And that really should be what you do. Like, it's just so tempting to pick up a guy that you can just plug and play. But you really, if we can build the roster to the point where we're not desperate anywhere, right? We can have a giant hole at running back because there's tons of running backs, right? Like, I'm fine with like not going into the draft with a full complement of running backs, right? Where we can, okay, we'll pick up a running back in the 3rd and the 6th and we'll be okay, right? Running back, I'm okay. A couple other positions for depth, fine. You just do not want to be reaching in round number 2 for a starting corner, right? Like, you just don't want to be reaching for starters in the draft. Just best player available in depth.
The thing that I saw here. Fill the rest needs a draft if you can't sign competent players. Well, the thing is we have a lot of cap. We have a lot of cap space to use, and we should use it.
Don't even ask us where we're at. We don't know what's going to happen with.
We don't know. We don't know where it is right now as far as
how
all these contracts are laid out. But
I don't think even Spycheck knows right now.
Yeah,
alone us.
We still should have a good amount of cap space, and that's why you have it, to use it to get these players in. And Pete Carroll he's all about competition. So there's nothing wrong with drafting guys and signing guys at the same position, because that way you get the best guys out there. And man, 17 games is a lot. 17 games is a lot. So you want to make sure you have good, second lines, third lines, even sometimes with these guys.
You need bodies, like they say on the wire.
Quality bodies.
You need bodies. All right, you got to get to if you guys are done, we're almost done.
5 minutes. I mean,
5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you guys want more, head over to Raiders versus the World. Big Little Bosco. Thank you again for the super chat. I feel every offseason we want to sign the best players, but we got to count the Maxx, Kuntz, and Butler deals as big wins.
No, for sure. But the thing is, Big Little Bosco, I agree. But hang on a second. We also have to improve off of who we were last year. Those players were on our team last year. Now, I know that Kuntz didn't play, but you lose your starting linebackers, S plural, right? You lose your slot corner, and you lose a starting safety. And it's okay. So I understand that we count that as wins, but there's still holes that we have to fill with upgrades. We need to upgrade. We need to upgrade our secondary. Big time. Big time. Even if Jack Jones is still on the team, we still need to upgrade. Because if he doesn't improve and get better, we need to get it from someone else. Right? And we definitely have to refill Hobbs' role. So there's still some guys out there. I would love Asante Samuel. I think that what's wrong with having what's wrong with having a great secondary? What's wrong with that? Nothing, I don't think.
Sam Demand, thank you so much for being a member and a super chatter. I'm coming around on Geno. I'd love to draft Milroe or Howard Dart. Who would you guys take if available in the 2nd or 3rd? Maybe bring in Milton. Every day that goes by, I'm more in on Geno. Same. I was like, yeah, he wasn't my number 1. He can do a lot of good things. Obviously, him and Pete Carroll. And then just like the more I hear about him as a player, the more tape I watch on him, the more like stories I hear about him as a locker room guy. It's like, all right, we'll still wait on the contract. I may like him even more when the numbers come out, or I may like him even less when the numbers come out. The contract's the last like phase of this, but yeah, I like Geno. But yes, yeah. Go ahead.
If anyone out there was a huge Derek Carr fan, Geno Smith is very comparable to Derek Carr. in ability, in just likability, in locker room presence. I feel he's a little bit more mobile, actually a lot more mobile.
No question he's more mobile.
And I think he's not quite as, he doesn't have the PTSD in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's like Carr in the good and bad ways. Like he's kind of a turnover machine.
Yeah,
too,
yeah. He's
right?
like he does turn the ball over. Where like we were talking about it, where Gino would throw it to the other team, Carr would throw it to the other team's fans in the stands.
Mm.
You know, so hopefully with this Chip Kelly offense,
both not good in the red zone.
It's going to be a little bit more run heavy because Chip Kelly likes to fool you with all this motions and these formations and all this this window dressing, but he wants to run the football. He had 2,000-yard rushers last year. He wants to run the ball.
And also about drafting quarterbacks. Yeah, man. Like even with Geno Smith, like
I would love Milroe.
You need to always be developing quarterbacks too, even when you have your starter, even when you've got your starter, right? Even especially when he's 35, right? Like obviously, Geno Smith's we'll be lucky, 3 years, especially with how much he runs. Even if he doesn't get like injury prone, he will slow down and he won't have the running element to his game as so time will eventually catch up. Even if he was 25 years old, you should always be developing a quarterback. Always. Either he's going to be your backup, and also it's just smart business. Like if you're able to develop a backup quarterback, and let's, God forbid, knock on wood, like let's say Geno plays Pro Bowl level for us next season, right? The next year he gets hurt and our backup comes in and doesn't miss a beat. Now you've got one of the most valuable things in football. Think of like Sam Darnold right now. Imagine if the Vikings signed Sam Darnold to like a 3-year deal. You got J.J. McCarthy, and now you got Sam Darnold. They'd be trading him for 3 first-round picks right now, right? It's just smart play, football X's and O's wise, to always be developing a second and third quarterback, and it's even smarter business as the quarterback becomes more and more valuable.
You can get Milton for a 4.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, if you guys have watched any of the videos on my other channel, I talked about Milton. I had made a whole video about him. Actually, sorry, Milroe. Milroe he was done a disservice at Alabama because all Alabama did is say, go out there and do what you do best and be an athlete. They did not progress him at all as a passer. And that's a shame because they did that guy a disservice. And I feel bad for him because they didn't really progress him as a quarterback. They just let him do what he does well. Having him sit a year behind a guy like Geno Smith to teach him how to become an NFL quarterback, nothing but positive can come out of it because he does have elite traits. He has elite arm strength. He has one of the strongest arms in the draft. And his movement skills, we haven't seen a guy that can run like this at quarterback since Lamar Jackson. We haven't. It just is what it is.
Thank you again, Big Little Bosco, Mr. Moneybags today. Really appreciate it. We actually got outbid by guys who didn't match their market value, but I agree. We got outbid by guys that got.
I gotta go.
See you, buddy. We got outmatched. Like market value numbers got outmatched by most of these guys. And like Soto said, that's typical for day one of free agency. Guys are just like in full spending mode, right? It's a high school girl that got dad's credit card. They're at the mall just going hog wild, right? All right, that was an hour. That's good for here. Again, day one. It's not even technically free agency yet, right? It's just the tampering window. Free agency starts Wednesday. It's just day one. A lot of the guys went quick. We got some good guys. We lost some guys that most of them I wouldn't pay that number for. I mean, Spillane hurts. That was a lot. Tre'von Moehrig, I think they're banking on him continuing to improve. And if Moehrig does keep getting better and plays into the contract, then, then Spytek and Pete Carroll can kick themselves in the ass. But as of right now, I'll take Chinn's contract over Moehrig's any day for that same, roughly the same caliber player. And then, of course, the big one, right? We have a quarterback now. Everything is just like happier when you have your quarterback. The sun shines a little brighter. Chicks' tits are a little bit bigger. Beer tastes a little sweeter. You know, when you got your quarterback, there's just so much more optimism. And that was the point of getting him, getting Geno Smith so early in this whole process. We're not in desperation mode, right? We're not going into free agencies and drafts desperation mode wise. We're now need to be taken seriously. We've got a starting caliber quarterback. We can do everything with that set, with being that sound and fundamental. We're not going into the draft forced to grab a quarterback. We're not going to have to overpay or trade something crazy for a quarterback. A lot of work to be done, but I think the steps that we need to have made by March 10th, we have made. Again, we're not going to turn this roster around in one off season. We're not going to do it in 2 off seasons. There's just too many bad drafts and too many classes of bad free agency from a couple of regimes ago. But we're making good moves. All right, that's it for me. If anything crazy happens today or tomorrow, Soto and I will go live. Otherwise, we'll have our regular podcast, big show that we record on Wednesday and on Thursday. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.